Welcome to a look into the future. What would you do if you could go into the future and ask yourself a question? Luckily, we got a simple option. We can ask the time traveler himself, Paul Latham. Paul brings three amazing things to us today. Number one, he built a successful accounting practice in the UK, so he understands us accountants. He built his firm into an advisory powerhouse, which we're learning from every episode, what he did to get there, which he sold for $45 million in 2001. Number two, he's even taken a business public, building it to a market value in excess of $400 million. So he really understands what business owners need and value, and what we as accountants need to provide to them. And finally, number three, most important, we don't need to invent time travel. We can just ask Paul and learn from the transition he made 20 years ago in the UK into providing business advisory services as that trend is here today in the US. I'm Garrett Wagner, your Entrepreneurial CPA Channel host, and I'm excited to be joined by the man himself, the legend, Paul Latham of Hay & Rock Solutions. On today's show, we're going to expand on some of those prior episodes we talked about and how do you move past the bare minimum. We're kind of going through those three ways Paul mentioned, move past the bare minimum. Last time we did employee engagement, and this time, another super important topic, and Paul, as always, I'm excited we got to say, how do firms win the right clients to help grow their business versus going after the wrong ones?
Hi, Garrett. Yeah, exactly as you say. Again, going back to that theme, I really want CPAs to be able to not just do as I say to their business owner clients, but do as I do, transform their CPA business into a proper business. And I think the second priority is for them to win the right type of client. And basically, I can say here and now that I don't think many CPAs target the right type of client. And I think this comes about, I said in a previous episode, that all the important people in a CPA business typically all do the same job. They all tend to focus on their clients. They're focused on being what I call client service providers rather than building a business. And because they have that mindset or mentality of we are there to serve clients, they sort of get into this whole what I call master-servant relationship. It doesn't really matter if you have or haven't watched the TV program, but there's a very famous TV program from the UK called Downton Abbey. And it's all about masters and servants and their relationship. And basically the way I see it with CPAs is the clients are the masters and the CPAs are the servants. And I think they need to move from being master-servant to being one where they're actually working in partnership with their clients. And that then takes you to a place that says, well, who do I want to be in partnership with? And when we started this at Latham's, what we actually recognized was that we absolutely didn't properly target the clients we wanted to work with. In fact, it was a complete accident who we work with. We let, metaphorically, anybody in through the door who happened to knock on the door and say, can I be a client? And we said, of course you can be a client. And if they knocked on the door or they phoned us up, we said, of course you can be a client. And it didn't matter what type of business they were in or what profile they had. We said, of course you can be a client and we'll serve you. And the result was that we didn't have enough what I'd call A and B clients. And we were bogged down with what I used to call C clients. We were basically bogged down. And we started by then really defining and getting very granular about what that type of target looked like. I mean, in very big picture terms, we wanted them to be more profitable clients. We wanted them to want more added value services. We wanted them to be fun to work with. We didn't want to work with people who were very annoying to work with. We wanted fun people to work with. We wanted a collaborative relationship. And if you want to get really granular, I mean, we really focused on older clients, business owners in their probably mid-50s who are probably going to sell their business in the next few years. And we really targeted those types of clients because they fitted in very well with the types of services that we offered. But the result basically was over time, and I'm talking here over about 5, 6, 7, 8 years, we transformed our client base from being bogged down with those C clients. I don't remember the percentage, but it was probably 60 to 80% of our clients were C clients. And by the time we sold in 2001, more than 80% of our clients were A and B clients. And that's how we shifted to being 80% of our revenues being forward-looking, because it's those A and B clients who wanted the forward-looking services. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. And it's that pivot that firms in the US, any firm in any part of the world needs to start making, is really thinking for step one, who are those ideal clients? It doesn't matter what they are, whether it's a niche of an industry or a niche, and kind of like you talk about times, Paul, a niche is not just an industry, but a niche in client demographic. Like you said, you knew your client demographic. It didn't matter what industries they were in. Your niche was the clients you worked with to help them grow.
Yeah.
It's so important for the firms to think about that and focus on that purposeful, thoughtful growth, and not just, like you said, the phone rings, you take any client that walks through the door. So how did you get your team, your people, your firm to make this shift, and where did you start pivoting your mix from the C's to the A's and the B's?
Yeah, and it's a good question, because the truth is that there's no given day where you can do that, because the economic reality is that most CPAs need those 60, 70, 80% of C clients to pay the bills, and you can't change that overnight. So we came up with what we called a client transition plan that was going to make that shift over weeks and months and years. And we started with basically ranking all of our clients, and we ranked them all either an A or a B or a C, or perhaps even a D or an E. But we ranked them all literally from first to worst, so that at any point in time we knew who are each client partner, who their worst clients were. And we ranked them not only from financial factors, but also personality factors. Did we enjoy working with them, and so on? And basically, we then created a rule. And that rule was, if we won a new A or B client, if we won an A client, then we basically got rid of our two worst Cs. And get rid of probably meant just increase their price, and they went. So if we won an A client, we got rid of our two worst Cs. And if we won a B client, we got rid of our one worst C. And what we did was, but we talked in the previous episode about getting everyone engaged and bought in. We made sure that we told the whole team. They were bought into the plan. This was part of that cheering that we talked about before. And when we won a new client, we used to ring a big bell in the office. And when the big bell was rung, as many people as were in would gather. And they were sort of interested in hearing about this new client that we were about to win. And they were pretty interested in that, but they were really very interested in hearing about who were the worst clients that we were removing. And they loved it. And it was part of how we got them engaged. And we just kept on doing that week after week, month after month. So bit by bit, C clients were replaced by A and B clients. And it took months and years of diligent and consistent effort. But the result was, by the end, we were working with the right type of clients who wanted our forward-looking services and bought them, and who were fun to work with. And it was good, and we enjoyed it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And that's an important lesson for the firms out there. It's easy to say as a firm, I'm going to rank my clients. It's a hard thing then to kind of start to carve out that list. And I like the method of, when you sign an A, you remove two C's and pieces like that. And it takes a firm cohesive effort to do that, because what I hear from some firms out there, especially firms with multiple partners, is that, well, once it gets ranked and done, some partners will like refuse to kind of chop off their D's or their F's or whatever. But that kind of erodes the system. Like, you've got to have unity. You can't have partners A and B do this and partners C and D be like, well, no, I'm not going to let go of those C's and D's and F's.
And if I can just butt in back there again, Garrett, what that comes back to is everyone buying into a future vision. The CPA firm has to have a clear future vision. The partners buy into that. And the reality actually is, if they don't buy into that, then they have to leave, because you're not part of our future vision.
Well said. Well said. Buy into the future vision, be part of the team, because if not, you don't fit into the future vision of where the company's going. As always, some amazing insight from Paul. And today, really focus on how to get the right type of client and make that pivot at your firm. Take some steps, start to do that at your firm. Not just rank your clients, but pivot out, celebrate the success, and move out the bottom of the tier. So as you're watching, I want to ask you, do you feel like you're ready to become the most relevant advisor to your client? Do you think you've soaked up enough knowledge to make that change happen? If you're watching and you want to see how ready your firm and you really are to become the most relevant advisor for your clients and maximize your business potential, take the Biz Survey and find out. This is a special treat for everybody watching this show. We want to provide you with the results of your biz score and a quick pub meeting, as Paul likes to say, to review the results. There's a link below. It's in the comments section. I encourage your firm to take the test. See how ready your firm is for future success. See how ready you are to use the tips and the knowledge Paul shares with us from his time traveling days. Thank you for watching, everybody. Click to subscribe to our YouTube channel where the box is. And as always, we challenge you to take action today to change the world and invest in yourself.